Okay, and the photographer I chose, she goes by the name of Tina Mondati, and she was born in 1896 in Italy and died at the age of 46 in 1942. And the photograph in the front is by Edward Weston, and it was taken in 1921 in Sophia print. A famous quote she is solely based and known for is, "I cannot solve the problem of living by losing myself in the problem of art." Some biographical information is that she wasn't solely just a photographer. She was really interested in modeling as well, and she was also pursuing a career in being an actress as well. And she was in and really into the revolutionary activist group. She then moved to LA to pursue a career in the motion industry. And before moving to LA, she moved to San Francisco with Pietro Mondari, which is her uncle, and that's where basically she got into photography. Her uncle really showed her the roots around it and really crafted her skill. She then as well worked in the performing arts, and later on, in a kind of early age, she died at the age of 46 in 1942. And like I stated, some of her key points in her photographic career is at the age of 16, she went to San Francisco to pursue a career in the performing arts with her uncle Pietro Mondari. And at that point, she was really into photographing the Mexican mural movement, and she developed a fine art and documentarian style. And she joined a cultural and political avant-gardist group, and as well joined the International Red Aid Communist Group. And most of the photos I'm going to show you were published and widely spread around. And then here's some of her photographs, the illustration for a Mexican song. She really goes into detail in the culture of Mexicans, and this was in 1927. And then here's her taking a picture of someone who lives in Tehuantepec type. She really tries to give you the feel of how they live and their everyday life. And this specific picture was photographed in 1929. And then here's another one, and this as well is a picture of someone who lives in Tehuantepec, and it was as well taken in 1929. And most of her pictures are solely based in Mexico due to the fact that Juan Rovelo Gomez actually sent her to Mexico and offered her a job and basically everything set up for her, and she took it and came to Mexico and basically documented the basic life. And moving on, she then, in this photo, the roofs of Mexico City, this was in 1923, she's basically photographing the everyday life, trying to give you the perspective of how they live, basically. And then here's La Palencia as well. And basically, most of her pictures are about this little town called Tehuantepec. And then here's Worker's Hand in 1927. Basically, most of her pictures are between the time of 1921 to 1929. Then her most famous picture is the Workers' Parade in 1926. And this is her most famous picture due to the fact that this was a time when workers in Mexico fought against and were given their rights at this point, and this was in 1926. Then here's hands washing as well, and this is in Tehuantepec, and this was taken in 1927. And then this is her taking a picture of a mother and child as well in Tehuantepec, Oaxaca, Mexico in 1929. Just basically giving you the everyday life and how they live in Tehuantepec. Then Elisa in 1924 as well. Then here's Roses in Mexico in 1924. If you haven't noticed, most of her pictures are just in black and white. That was her basic style. And around that time in 1927, she blossomed into kind of the most popular photographer around Mexico, just due to the fact that most of her pictures gave more interest to them, other than like the other photographers that were around that time. And here's Cactus in 1925. And then a typical Aztec mother, how Tina Mandati saw. And this was in 1926. Then how they basically live, and she took this in 1923, and as well this is in Tehuantepec. Then baby nursing in 1926, just giving you the everyday life. And then 1926, and it's a woman with the ola, and the ola is basically like a vase, and what they would have to do is basically walk all the way to the river, fill it up, and come back to Tehuantepec and basically live off the water for basically like 2 or 3 days, and then do the process over and over again, basically. And some significance was that she was solely introduced into photography by her uncle, Pietro Mandati. She was a pictorialist, not really a modernist, and she was a social documentary and using straight photography to show everybody how they basically lived around Mexico. And she mostly did platinum prints, and she had a huge impact on social reform.